أهلا بكم من جديد ومنتابع تصفح المجلة. تقريرنا التالي هو عن السكاي دايفنج. بدأ استعمال المظلات بالقرن العاشر بعد الميلاد بالصين، إنما أول رسم تخطيطي للمظلة وجد بين رسومات ليوناردو دافنشي اللي بتعود للقرن الخامس عشر، بحيث رسم المظلة على شكل هرم. تاريخ الباراشوتينج الحديث أو الهبوط بالمظلات بدأ مع أندري جاك جارنوران اللي نجح بالهبوط بالمظلة من منطاد عام 1797. بعد اختراع الطائرة أصبح من الممكن القفز من مسافات أعلى وبسرعة أكبر، وخلال الحربين العالمية الأولى والثانية استخدم الباراشوتينج لإنزال القوات العسكرية ولإنقاذ الطيارين بحال أي عطل بالطائرة. إلى جانب دوره ضرورة عسكرية، أصبح الباراشوتينج بعد الحرب العالمية الثانية هواية واتخذ اسم سكاي دايفنج. من هواة السكاي دايفنج الرئيس الأمريكي السابق جورج بوش الأب، اللي احتفل بعيدي ميلاده الخامس والسبعين والثمانين بقفزة بالمظلة، وأعاد الكرة بعمر ال 85 ويأمل بحياة أطول ليعيدها بعمر ال 90. أما أول قفزة له كانت قبل أكثر من نصف قرن خلال الحرب العالمية الثانية، عندما أصيبت طائرته بأضرار فوق المحيط الهادئ. معلومات أكثر بيطلعون عليها جيم كراوش صاحب شركة ويست بوينت سكاي دايفنج المرخصة من USPA، أي المنظمة الرسمية للهبوط بالمظلات بالولايات المتحدة.
Jim, we're very happy to be here today with you to learn more about skydiving.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great day for it.
How long have you been doing it?
A little over 16 years now. Just like a lot of people, I think, I had always kind of thought about it and wondered about it. And one night, a friend of mine told me he was going the next day. And so I said, well, I've always wanted to do it. So I came down with him and went through the ground training and did everything horrible on the first jump. I was very angry after I landed. I did so poorly, so I came back the next week and made another one, and that hooked me after that.
Why do people do it?
I think it's, for some people, it's a once in a lifetime. They just want to do it one time so they can say that they've, been there and they've jumped out of a plane. And for other people, that first jump leads to something more. They just feel like it was such a great experience. They want to continue with it, so they'll go on and finish the training to get licensed and become a regular hobbyist skydiver. And for them, it becomes almost a lifestyle, just with, it's just a whole engrossing, encompassing sport for them.
And what's the process of doing the skydiving, like from the first jump to becoming a professional skydiver?
Well, it's a series of training jumps. It usually takes about 18 jumps with a skydiving instructor or a skydiving coach to get you through the skills you need. And the first license is the USPA A license, the U.S. Parachute Association. You can get that at 25 jumps. And once you're a licensed skydiver, you can jump with other licensed skydiver without any instructor with you at that point. Really 4 different ways you can make a first jump. Tandem, which we're going to do today, or accelerated free fall, which is where 2 instructors hold on to each side of you through the free fall. It's just sort of like training wheels, making sure you're stable. And, or there's a traditional static line, which was how skydiving started years and years ago, where you leave the airplane and your parachute is deployed immediately. Or there's another jump called instructor assisted deployment, where it's sort of like static line, but the instructor opens the parachute for you as you let go of the airplane. There's training before each of those, and with each type of skydive, you learn a little bit about the equipment. You learn how to get in and out of the airplane, and then you learn a free fall position, and learn about emergency procedures, what to do if the parachute doesn't open correctly, things like that, or how to fix little problems that might come up with the parachute, and then how to fly and land the parachute and get landed back in the landing area.
Okay, now you got me a bit concerned. What to do if a parachute doesn't open?
Well, that's why we have two, and it's a fairly simple process of just pulling one handle to release the first parachute that may not have opened correctly, pulling a second handle that opens the backup reserve parachute. And the reserve parachute is packed very carefully by a certified rigger, so there's very, very, very little chance of having a problem with the second parachute. An instructor actually died after the parachute had opened, so he and his student were flying together, and all of a sudden the student noticed that the instructor stopped responding. So the student knew enough about flying the parachute. He got himself landed and administered CPR on the instructor. He was dead from a massive heart attack.
Approximately 5,500 feet, he deployed the main chute, and at that point we were talking. I asked him a question and he responded, and then I continued to ask him an additional question, and there was no response. I guess the Army teaches you just to deal with adversity the best you can. It doesn't matter if it's on a battlefield or if it's at home or if you're 5,500 feet in the air. You know, you do what you got to do, and you just, you know, I didn't want to die. You know, and I knew I needed to get to the ground to try and help him. I didn't know how serious it was at that point. I just know he wasn't responsive. You know, and I didn't know till later on once I'd hit the ground that in fact he had, you know, deceased.
It's unusual for something like that to happen, and we do put computerized automatic activation devices on the reserve parachutes so that if something were like that to happen to an instructor during the free fall before the parachute was deployed, it would deploy the reserve parachute automatically. And then at that point, the student could land under an inflated parachute.
How safe is skydiving?
It's safer than most people think. Statistically, it's a very, very small percentage. And a great majority of those were licensed skydivers who just simply didn't either handle their parachute correctly and landed very hard, or they just didn't follow standard procedures type of thing. But even student jumps are even more safe than that, much more safe. The dangers are maybe not reacting to a malfunctioned parachute correctly, or opening your parachute too low, or not landing your parachute correctly and instead of landing with the wing level at a slow speed, people try to land in a turning descent, and that picks up the speed greatly, and you can land very hard that way. When handled correctly, it's a very slow, soft descent.
And what is like your message to people who are thinking about doing this?
Just do it, you know. Quit thinking about it, and you can go to USPA's website, uspa.org, and they have a listing of skydiving centers there and all over the world, and there's no reason to sit and think about it any longer.
تعتبر السكاي دايفنج رياضة قاسية وتوصف بالإكستريم سبورت، ورغم عدد الوفيات النادرة ما بتخلى من الخطر. بحسب آخر الإحصاءات يقتل 30 سكاي دايفر بالولايات المتحدة سنوياً، أي بنسبة 1 على 100,000. لذا تحضير بشكل جدي واتخاذ تدابير السلامة قبل ما نقفز من علو 10,000 قدم أو ما يتخطى 3,000 متر ضروري جداً. Don't try this at home. I'll see you after the jump.
So after we go on the plane, when is the last time we can change our mind?
Right before the door comes open.
But before that, anyone can change
Before
their
that, anybody can change their mind, yep.
Okay.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. If anything goes wrong, it's going to happen up there. So right now, we're good.
Okay. Mom, Dad, I love you.
All right. Well, you definitely want to do it now?
Yeah, I can still change my mind until we get on the plane, before they open the door. So I don't think I'm going to change my mind. But
Corinne, that's what they told you now. Everything changes once we're in the air, okay?
Okay.
All right. Hey, give me a big thumbs up. I'll see you at the plane, okay? All right.
All right, let's start turning back in.
Here we go.
Go!
What do you think about that, Corinne? Woo! Was that awesome or not, huh?
Great!
Sweet. High five. You did awesome up there. It looked like you were having a good time.
Great time!
Do you want to do it again now?
Oh yeah!
Yeah?
Oh yeah! Once you do it once, you can't get enough.
That's right.